I didn't know you were there. But I'm glad you are, because today we've got a great show with Aimee Velasquez. She's going to show us 2 of her favorite exercises, and then we've got a first at Kilo Club in Summerlin, Las Vegas. Aimee's going to show us something that's never been done here. Stay tuned. What's up, Fit Fam? This is Giovanni of Gio's Logic, your host of Fitness Junkees. I hope this show meets you in good health and fitness, and if not, I hope it inspires you to do something about it. I am really excited about this show. We have a first here on the show that we did in Kilo Club, like that intro said. And I've been trying to get this young lady on my show for a while. She's busy, but no further ado. How are you, Aimee?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Finally here.
Yes. And I'm, again, really excited about what we're going to see a little bit later. So everyone, now it's time to like, share, write a review. Fitness Junkees need your support. But every guest has a story. Every guest has a fitness journey. Let's hear about yours. How did you get started in fitness?
Well, I've always been a fitness junkie, I guess, in a type of way. I was a competitive cheerleader my entire life, from the age of probably 6 to until I aged out. I couldn't do it anymore. Until there was like that professional football, type of cheerleading I could do. But so I started there, and I did competition cheer. So it was different than the standing behind a football team and saying, "Go team," and cheer for them. It was more about your own personal development, tumbling, jumping, stunting. You really had to, if you weren't the best, you're at the back. If you were the best, you're at the front. So you really had to work on your own self to make yourself, be better to be at the front. So that's kind of where I developed that type of competition mindset.
Right.
Straight from the beginning. So from there, once I aged out, I kind of felt a little bit lost, like, what can I do now with my life, And so I took a good break. I never lifted or anything like that, but still I was really fit from the jumping, the flipping, and all that good stuff. So that's why my legs are kind of more built, and they have more mature muscle in my lower half. So took a break. Then from there, I met my boyfriend, and that I'm with now. And we have a 4-year-old daughter together. So we were together for about 2 years, and then we moved to Vegas in 2019. And that was a big change for me, because I was a new stay-at-home mom. And he was like, "We need to get you to do something. Like, what do you like to do? Like, what's fun for you?" And I was like, "Cheerleading, but I don't know what else I would like to do, for my own self and like what drives me." So he just tried pushing me to do so many different adventures, and nothing just felt right until one day he took me to the Mr. Olympia Fit Expo. And that's where it all started. That's where I saw the girls with the big, nice shoulders, the round bubble butts and everything. And I was like, hey, I'm getting a gym membership from there, and met a coach in the gym and took off from there.
Wow, that's so much interesting stuff there. So let's start with the competitive cheerleading and aging out. So when you see those cheerleading competitions, some of those competitors aren't in like high school or college, or they are?
Yes,
most of them.
Yeah, because you have to pay to compete. So it's like we had to pay tuition every month. We had to pay for our uniforms. It was very expensive. It was around about close to $10K a month. No, I'm sorry, not a month, a year.
Okay. 10K,
a year.
10K a year is a lot too.
Sorry.
Trust me.
It's about 10K a year, but that's just tuition and your uniforms and what you need, like alone.
The basics.
It didn't include traveling, competing at competitions. You had to pay for an entry fee, like all that stuff. So It's very similar to the NPC division, where you have to, pay to go to the gym, pay for your supplements, and then also pay for your coach. So it was an expensive sport, but it's very rewarding.
And then aging out. You look so young, but So when you say aging out, like what does that mean? Like
So
exactly.
they have like, you start out with tiny tots, they're like toddlers, and then they have the juniors, which is like, middle school, and then we have seniors, which is it's all about age level. Seniors, which is high school level, and then we have college level, which is if you're over the age of 12, you're eligible for college level. So that's where I actually took off with my cheerleading career. I had joined the competitive college team at age 12. So I had the big, just one dude under me holding me up with one hand.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really, really cool. But
At 12.
yeah, 12. Lots of fun. They would, because they're the big guys. They'd just throw me in the air and I can do the flips and they'd catch me. So that was really fun. But yeah, once you turn, I believe it's 20 years old, then you have to go to a team that's more established as a co-ed college past that, because it's not a popular sport and it doesn't bring in money. So people don't really have these college teams just for us to go around and compete.
Right.
Then from the next point on, if you want to become professional, you have to like apply for like the 49ers or the Raiders cheerleaders, but it's so different.
Right. So that's
Not
the
the
next
same.
level.
That's the next level as far as like where you can take it as career wise,
Right.
unless you can be like a cheerlebrity where you're like all around an amazing cheerleader and you have like sponsorships and that type of stuff. But
even in like being a Raiderette, there's no money in that either.
no,
There's no money.
It's more about passion at that point, you know, like just like, bodybuilding. You don't make a whole lot of money just competing. You really don't. You can't live a life on that. You have to, do the sponsorships and really build your own brand, you know. So it's kind of the same as that in that part too.
Right. And then I love the Olympia Expo, and I can see how inspiring that can be. And did you have an early on person that you were like, oh my God, I want to do her? Like who was your person?
KK Fit, they are twins.
Yeah, I've seen them.
You've
I
seen
follow
them?
them.
Yeah. So they're the ones that like I actually saw of like they had muscle and they have similar body types as me. Like they weren't super jacked, but they weren't super tiny, but they were still like relatively lean, but they had some muscle. So they really, really inspired me to like, I bought their program at first. I did like their gym stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Of course I didn't follow through with it because I wasn't determined. I didn't have that type of mindset developed yet at that time. That kind of came when I discovered competing. That's when that passion really fired it.
And talk to me about that. Like that's a big jump between I like to work out, I want to change my body, to then getting in a micro bikini on stage and being judged by judges right next to other girls that look amazing as well.
Yeah.
Like that's like a big leap. What was the thing that kind of clicked in for that?
So I've always been on stage being judged and being in a mini skirt and a crop top for cheerleading with my hair all done with makeup and everything. So that felt normal to me. That was not such a big change. But being judged on your actual body is the way you look. That's totally different because that can really, hinder your self-esteem, especially if you don't do too well or well as you expected. But how I started was I just got thrown into it. I met a coach and I didn't want to do any bodybuilding at first.
Right.
Just wanted to get some shape because I tried that program and of course it wasn't really working out for me. So I hired a coach and then he was like, you're perfect for this sport. Like your body would love muscle and you can do so well. And so I just kind of said, okay, you're just saying that in a way, but he just threw me in a show and I did it and I did really well. And from there I was like, wow, I'm good at this. Let me see where I can take this. And
Are you still with that coach?
No, I'm not. No, but he's amazing because he was a good starter coach for me because he brought me into this world. So I'm very thankful for him.
And I feel like you had one of those runs at this to get your pro card that's not unique. I mean, it doesn't happen often. Tell me about your first couple of shows and how you won your pro card.
Okay. So after I did my first show, I had won first in True Novice and first in Novice, and then second in Open, and then I won the overall in True Novice and Novice. So living on that high, that good feeling like, oh, I'm actually really good at something. Let me, continue with this. So I decided to go with a new coach, and that was where I found Fit Body Fusion. And so that's where I found them, and I got a coach that was more credible because I wanted to put every ounce of my energy into this. And this was also right before COVID. So I got my new coach. Her name is Jordan, and she was incredible. She helped me transition into learning how to count macros. And oh my gosh, she changed my life with macros, because a lot of coaches are like, let me just give you a meal plan,
Right.
And she took that time to really help me understand how to track macros. And the fact that I track macros now, it helps so much with my mental state and being a mom, like being around all the apples, the bananas, and all the fruits, all the goodies, and from her. So now I have like a really flexible lifestyle with food and a good relationship. So that was where it helped me actually continue on with my journey, because I wasn't so restricted with food on staying on the same plan. So that was great. So that helped a lot with my mindset going into it. But I had done one regional show. We went to Texas to compete in front of 2 national state judges so they can see who I am. We got first there. We left there, went to
First overall?
First, not overall.
Okay.
We didn't get the overall,
Okay.
but we did win my whole class.
Okay.
Which had about 16 girls, I believe. And then we went to nationals. I did not have a good experience at my first national show. I got placed like last with hair and makeup, because, as an amateur, you don't get that luxury of how the pros do. So I got placed last, and I missed a lot of the backstage carbing up and all that fun stuff. And so I just rushed on stage, and it just wasn't and my coach wasn't there. So that was my first time being at a show by myself.
Right.
So time management, I totally screwed up,
Right.
all that stuff.
Right.
But again, it was my third show. I was still learning. So we placed 5th there. And from that show, the head judge, she was like, I want you to go to nationals the next weekend. But my coach made the decision of, we're not going to be ready in 1 week. We have to do a little bit longer to get you a little bit tighter. So they kept saying, you need to be tighter in your glutes, tighter. So we took about 4 weeks off of more dieting, more cardio, and we went to USA's, and we won the whole show.
And that's when you got your pro card?
That was when I got my pro card. I went up for my class, which had, I believe, 24 girls.
Wow.
And then I won the whole show of 260 girls.
Wow.
Yeah. Incredible.
Now you're flying after that.
Oh yeah, the momentum. Yeah, it's incredible.
And so I follow your coach as well, and I want her on the show. Is it Jordan? Jordan. Let's get you on Fitness Junkeez. I know you don't live here in Vegas, right?
No, she lives. Last time I heard, she lived in Atlanta. She's not my coach currently.
Okay.
I did switch after my pro day. After my I went on stage for the pro stage 3 times. Competed from there. I switched coaches. And I went with actually her coach, which is Jamie DeBernard. She's the owner of Fit Body Fusion.
Got it.
And she changed my life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's quite a journey, but we did what we had to do to make sure that I could continue to succeed. Yeah.
Okay.
Jordan was great, but sometimes you just outgrow, certain people, coaches, and she did what she could for me, and she probably could have done more, but I felt like I just needed someone with a little bit more of pro stage experience. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's weird because bodybuilding, bikini bodybuilding, the whole industry is very political. So not only does a pro coach have experience being a pro coach, usually they have a name that kind of, oh, you train with them, so you might be on another level. And the judges know that, and it's really interesting. How do you feel about the politics of the bodybuilding world?
I mean, a lot of it goes on who you are, like, who you show up. Like, say one girl shows up and she has a big name, and then another athlete shows up and she's not as big name, but she has an incredible physique and she looks just as great. But they would choose the girl with the bigger name to win the show. Sometimes that does happen because of who they are and what they've accomplished in this bodybuilding world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes it difficult. And with the politics of it, and the difficulty of living that lifestyle, what are your dreams? Where are you heading? What's the end goal for you?
The Olympia. I will qualify for the Olympia. I know I will, because the way my mindset is, my hard work, how much it's basically based off this past prep, or not this past prep, this current prep. I'm in prep right now. But this past off season, I really worked a lot on my mindset and my mental health. And because coming from the pro stage, I realized I had a lot of work to do with my mental state. And I found a lot of things that I didn't know about myself. Like, it's weird to say, but I didn't really have self-awareness. And a lot of that can come from just being a mom, where you're just so worried about your daughter and like you care less about yourself.
Right.
Like in my house, everybody eats before me, even when I'm on prep, because that's just how moms we are,
Right.
we take care of everyone else around us. So I didn't have a whole lot of self-awareness. So whenever I was competing, I would stress myself out when it wasn't needed and I didn't have to do, I just kind of self-sabotaged myself a lot based on my mental state. Which was great. It was eye-opening. I learned a lot about myself. And so me and Christian, my boyfriend, he's in it with me. Like, he's like my coach too,
Right.
He's there at every check-in, every update. He's in it. He's involved.
He's here now.
Yeah.
What's
he
up?
He's over there. So yeah, I really changed a lot in this prep. I feel like I have what it takes to win a show.
Nice.
I have what it takes to win a show, and I feel like it's just a matter of time when my time comes, and when God wants me to shine, that's when it will happen. But I know it's coming because I'm putting in the work, and in this sport, when you put in the work, you usually get rewarded for it. So
there's some women in bikini bodybuilding that, and all the divisions, that tend to hit that pinnacle and then they crush it for seasons. Like, they'll do 6 or 7 in a row. I see you like possibly stepping into those shoes. Is that kind of what you're visualizing? Like,
in the past, I've always said I will never go for points, because going for points, there's 2 ways to qualify. You have to win a pro show to qualify for the Olympia, or you can get top 3 wins in most points. So if you place top 5 in a pro show, you get points, either 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, depending on your placing. So with all the girls competing, everybody gains points. So at the end of the season, whoever has the most points, those top 3 goes to the Olympia. So I always said that, like, I want to be good enough to qualify and get that honor, that title, to be able to go and not just compete in a bunch of shows to like try to make it,
Right.
that way. I want to really just be good enough and work hard enough to make it on that stage. And so definitely gotta put in lots of work, but we're doing it. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be up there.
No participation trophies for you.
Nope. No participation. Nope.
I love it. So you talked a little bit about wanting to do the Olympia, and I believe 100% you're going to do it. And I I know what that means, getting on the Olympia stage, that could be a hell of an experience as far as, I mean, when I went one year and I just couldn't I don't, how can you separate the top 10 girls? They all look amazing. They almost all look perfect. Like getting on that stage is, I think, just an amazing accomplishment.
Of course,
as
it's
it
a
is.
Prestigious stage, yeah.
But I think you have the ability to win it. And the reason I think you have the ability to win it is because your posing and your confidence when you're posing. And I haven't seen a lot of your posing, but what I've seen is next level. And I'm so curious to, how did you click in it so well with that? And you're also a posing coach.
Full time. Yeah.
Okay. So talk about that.
That's a hard one to answer because I never had a posing coach. I did have a few sessions with Jordan at the time on my journey to pro. And she did tweak a little bit of my posing, basically the do's and don'ts of the stage, because I was so new. You don't drop your glutes, you have to be balanced, But once I got to know what the judges were looking for, the structure and how we were supposed to be positioned, I can easily look at a girl and know exactly how to position my body to get that same look. Obviously not her look, but get that look on my body and make my angles and my structure look just as good. So I think that has to do with all that cheerleading, all the learning, the dances, the moves, and everything has to be perfect. We have facial expressions on stage and cheer. You have to perform, and if you're not on, you're off. And you have to be on when you step on stage. So it came to me, and the more I studied it, the more I did it myself, the more I understood it. And then when I first started teaching posing to girls for free. I had about 15 clients that I coached for free just to kind of learn other people's bodies, because everybody's different, everybody moves different, and everybody's structure different. And then the biggest part is everybody has different backgrounds. Some who have backgrounds of dance and cheer, they can get a full routine down in one session. But girls who don't have any of that background, it's like pulling teeth just to get the poses, So those girls, we just have to work a little bit harder, be more meticulous, and kind of, be more precise with each movement, and kind of teach her how to step, how to move. So that's challenging, but the more I get, the more athletes I work with, the better I become, and the more I figure out. There's things that I still don't know, and that I try to figure out with an athlete, and then I'm like, oh, I can do that for myself, and I can make it look like this and whatnot. So it just helps me build up my own posing too.
So with the posing and the look that the judges are looking for at Kilo Club, you talked about, bikini bodybuilding contests are won from the back. You, I think, have a unique, not a unique, I think you have a body type that has the ability to go far in this, because you're not too tall. So tall women have a difficulty because it's just the muscle are different.
Building, yeah.
So you have a good height range. You're not over enhanced, and you've got a good back, like you said. That's where they're won. So is there a current champion, Olympian bikini bodybuilder that you idolize, or that you're like, I want to do her career, or something like that, your version of it?
Yes and no. There's little details. I don't have one bikini bodybuilder that I really like. I love a lot of them. I don't have just one, but I have different athletes that I like, their different certain personalities, or the way she trains. Like Laura Lee, I love her personality and and her posing. I love her posing on stage. And then there's Jennifer Dory, the ambassador for the sport. I think she's great at, showing up to events and teaching girls and how to, be healthy and posing and all that stuff. So each girl has their own little thing going on for themselves. And I pick little things apart about them that I really, really enjoy. And I kind of like, you know, draw myself in with them with that area. And I'm like, this is who I want to be. This is kind of what I want to represent, because they're doing it. Like, you know, Jennifer Dory's Miss Olympia right now. So I of course I would want to be in her shoes, but I'm really still learning from her still, you know, on what she's doing for the sport. You know, some Olympians can win the Olympia and then just not help teach other people, or not just kind of go into hiding. But you know, I really want to, through posing seminars, I want to teach girls how to be confident, because whenever you go through so much with bodybuilding and building and then the cutting phase, if you don't present that on stage and make it look your best, all that hard work isn't shown. And that right there is already like, just, it's hard to even hear girls hear their stories about how they look incredible and they have this beautiful physique, but their posing just wasn't up to par. And it's like, oh, I feel, because you only get that one day. You only get 10 seconds on stage as an amateur. So really just sharing that knowledge, sharing my experience I think is really important.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that takes me to press down on that question. Is you're obviously uniquely talented in posing and teaching posing. It sounds like you have even a more broad and noble thing that you want to do with the sport and with women. Talk about that.
I really just want to be that type of person that, like, if I'm in the gym, like even in the gym, if I'm in the gym and I'm working out, I want to I feel like I want to push myself just to show the people around me that you can be better and you can look better, you can be stronger and stuff. And so I feel like just by me getting that type of motivation, I can imagine how other people feel motivated by seeing someone next to them that's like, you know, giving their all, and they can really see that. And I just want to motivate other people around me that in my normal atmosphere, my normal daily life, like anything I do, I want someone else to like look at me and be motivated and want to change their life, or want to do something that I'm doing, and you know, that correlates with what they want or their wishes. I want to make my posing business big. I want to make this sport. I want to even do the men's side for posing. I just want everyone to have a bunch of knowledge and information on how you can be confident, how you can show off your structure on stage. And I think just sharing the knowledge and just showing up and just being who I am, purely Aimee, I think that's really important, just to inspire other people.
Do you think that your personality is conducive of doing just that, and then turning that into like a motivational or inspirational business as well as a posing business? Yes. I would like to become a prep coach in the future. Right now, I have my hands pretty full, you know, with my daughter and me trying to, you know, make it to the Olympia. But I do want to, you know, use my journey and my background and where I'm going. And currently, I want to use that to have a new platform to, you know, bring more knowledge and fitness, more of the fitness, physical aspect of it too. Yeah, I'd love to do that. And do you think, like, you know, there's the obvious, if done right, there's obvious benefits of being ultra healthy, but there's a lot of emotional aspects of what you're doing. And done wrong, it could crush you, but done right, it can be amazing and powerful. And is that kind of where you want to show people how to do it right?
Yes, that's very, very important, because, you know, there are really, really good coaches out there, and there's some bad coaches out there, and there's just coaches that just do things their own way. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and what I think is important is you shouldn't just stick to what works, you know, as far as being a coach, because everybody's different. So I think it's very important to continue being a student in your craft, and to keep learning about new ways how to do things. Because if there's always a new way, there's always another way, and there's always, or not always, but there can be a healthier way. And so by a coach say they water load their clients or sodium load or something that's bad for their kidneys. So there's ways that people have realized, if you keep your sodium and water consistent, that's how you can avoid the water weight fluctuations, things like that. So then you don't end up, being severely dehydrated or, end up in the hospital from prep protocols and stuff. I think it's just important to continue learning and to continue having an open mind and knowing that there are other ways, and that don't be afraid to try new things, and don't be afraid to try things that aren't in your normal protocols, and that way you keep learning and you find better ways, and then you're like, okay, this is healthier for my clients. So I think that's really important, just to be a student at the same time.
So we talked at Kilo Club about confidence, and you were saying that a lot of confidence is repetition and knowing what you're doing, especially when you're on stage. I know you've said you've been on stage basically all your life, but you don't come across as a very outgoing, like, I'm Miss It, and I'm, hey guys. You have a very different energy, which is great, but I feel like, does bodybuilding and the journey to bodybuilding and the levels of confidence that you have to have on the stage, has that helped you in your personal life? Does it make you more confident walking down the street?
As my butt got bigger, it's made me less confident walking around. Because I don't like guys staring, and I don't like to give anyone a reason to stare.
Okay.
So the more I even told my boyfriend the other day, I was like, I'm not gonna wear short leggings, like shorts, legging apparel, out so much in the grocery store or these places, because I'm just getting too much eyes on me. I don't like it. Yeah, but definitely it has helped me so much with my personal confidence. It's mainly when you're consistent, that's when you get the results. And when you get those results, you see your body change. And when you see your body change and you're going in this direction, and then you look back 2 months and you see where you're at, and you're like, wow, like I thought I was confident back then, and I was a little, I had some issues, but I can see the differences, and it really just helps you like feel better about yourself and feel like, okay, I am on the right track. I am doing what I want to do. But yeah, it's helped me a lot, especially having a good track record with competing. That's obviously helped, but at the same time, it puts a lot of pressure on me to make sure that I do well. And that's what hurt me in my last pro run. I put so much pressure because I was a posing coach, and I said, what I do is I translate my business, and if I don't do well on stage, that could hurt my business,
right.
So I had lots of pressure on myself, and so that's where I kind of felt really stressed out in every situation. Like just going to the grocery store, I was like finding ways to just stress myself out. And when you stress out during a close to a show, you're so lean. Any stressor, like just getting an Uber, saying, oh my God, my Uber canceled, that puts a little bit of stress on you without realizing it, and your body will inflame and you'll become softer and softer. So that's the hard part, is trying to manage everything too.
Wow.
Yeah.
You talked about that earlier. You talked about balance, and you talked about, your family eats first, being a mother, especially a good mother. You're so selfless, and you found that you needed to, or you discovered your self-awareness. Talk about that.
Ooh, that was hard. That was a hard time. Like going through competing, like from show to show, I learned new things about myself. And like my second show, which was supposed to be my last show, my second time stepping on the pro stage, I had actually almost missed going on stage because I stressed myself out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how bad it got. So like I have, when you have to eat meals at a certain time, you have to drink water at a certain time. But I'm so new to the sport, is like in my head, I'm like, if I have to eat this meal exactly what my coach says, and if I don't, or if anything gets like 10 minutes delayed, I feel like I'm not doing my part. So the show was really behind. And instead of me rolling with the punches and being like, it's okay, like, I'll be fine. It's got new protocols, I stressed out and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be good on stage because I didn't do this. I didn't eat my food on time. My coach is like, it's okay. Like, relax. Like, we just got to switch up what we're doing. It's fine. But like, I was just so into like being perfect instead of being like more consistent and focusing on that part and just kind of living in the moment. She was like, you need to like just lay down and just kind of like relax. And so I went up to my floor and we were, I believe on the 26th floor. And in this hotel, it took about 10 minutes to get an elevator because it was so packed and it was ridiculous. And so basically I went upstairs and I had talked to one of the guys that was running the show. And I said, hey, what time do I have to be back? And I'm a pro. And he told me this time. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go upstairs because the show was in the same hotel. Went upstairs, laid down, got a call from Christian because he went and got food. He popped in the room and he was like, I think that's Bikini Pro on stage. And he calls me and I was like, you're lying. Like, you're lying. And he was like, no, they're on stage. You need to get down right now. There's no way I was waiting for that elevator. I got my stuff. I did stairs. I ran down 26 flights of stairs, freaking out, but I had I wasn't tired. I went through, so the ending stairway, it was a door, but it's only one door, and then there was an emergency exit. I didn't want to set off the alarm. So I opened this door, and it was a kitchen. I was screaming, like, somebody help me, somebody help me. I was screaming, and this guy just walks by when he's holding food, and he looks at me, and he thinks I'm crazy.
Right.
But I'm this girl, I have makeup and everything.
You're orange
I'm
girl
orange, that
in
too.
A bikini.
A little Oompa Loompa. Yeah. And so he ignored me. He kept walking.
Right.
But I was pretty scared. I was like, where do I go? And I just started running into the kitchen. And then I saw a chef and I was like, where do I get to lobby? Because it was right next to the lobby. And so he's like, that way. Ran straight and I made it just in time to where I was third, about to go on stage.
Uh-huh.
And I went on stage super sweaty and breathing heavy. I did it. I didn't pump up. I didn't carb up. I didn't do anything. I just ran straight there and I was on stage. And there I placed 6th.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So based off that, like after we got off, I was crying and I was so down because I was like, this was the only natural show that you can compete in being natural. It was drug tested and, being an IFBB Bikini Pro, you're really competing against all these girls that are enhanced, right? And I'm a natural athlete. So that was like, I felt like that was my opportunity to like do better than what I did before. But the fact that, my mindset, my mental health was not up to par. So it really just hindered a lot of it. And I've just found out like, I stress out. I need to not put so much pressure on myself. I need to realize when I'm feeling down, what triggers it, when I'm feeling in the moment. Christian would walk in the bathroom and I would get upset. Right. So like, I feel so different now. And this prep is like, I'm enjoying every moment. I did not like my last prep. I didn't enjoy any part of it at all. And that was just me putting all that on myself, so this prep, it's good. And Christian can see that it's good. It's so different. I'm in a much better place.
Good.
And I know that that's going to translate on stage too.
Right. And those are all teachable moments that you can eventually teach to your clients and pass down because it's definitely not unique to stress people out. And then, like you talked about balance with your family, it's like, I know Christian lives and goes through all this with you, but it's not really cool, ladies, to take your significant others through the fucking ringer.
That is true.
for
It's
12
true.
weeks because you want to do this.
You chose to do this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It should be something that
You enjoy.
yeah, and you can manage the stress levels. And
Yeah.
you can manage being hungry.
And that becomes with experience, right?
Right.
So I think me turning pro, I didn't realize a lot about the sport. Like I didn't really follow any pros. I was so new. And it was during COVID. I got my pro card in 2020. So I just stayed inside and did my workouts, and I lived in San Diego. So we had outdoor workouts available. So I always had a gym. I always had access to a gym. So it was insane. Like I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And then whenever we won USA's, like I still didn't know. And the fact that I did that, like we realized, I think it was like about a month later, like the more we got involved in the sport, like, wow, what I just did is incredible. And it's very unheard of girls doing what I did. And that just like that's why I kind of put so much pressure on myself. Cause I was like, I didn't realize I can be this good. I can be somebody. I can do this. So, basically like it was really hard, going into my pro with all the pressure. But, now that I know how I'm matured in the sport a little bit more, I'm able to control my controllables, and I'm able to let go of things I cannot control and know that it's okay. And that, if things don't go my way, okay, I just got to find another way. And
Not
we just
God's
got to.
plan. Yep,
Exactly.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
That's
it's
great.
much different now, and you just got to get that experience. And I did 2 local shows, 2 national shows, and then 3 pro shows. So like usually girls take about 2 years to get their pro card or more, on average. So
Or never.
Yeah, or never. Yeah, that's a possibility too. Yes. So like what I did was incredible, and so I'm very thankful for the position that I'm in. I'm very, very blessed to be here, and I'm just continuing to ready to work hard and take it all the way.
Good stuff. So just like with most of our bikini competitors, we go to Kilo Club, and we
one of the best gyms I've been to.
Yeah. We had Amy show us some of her favorite workouts. So Amy, we're here at the squat rack.
Yes.
What you got for me?
So today I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite workouts for the glutes, mainly the hamstring tie-in, because I am an IFBB Bikini Pro. So this is one of those crucial back shots that we really need to win a show. So
Awesome. I'll let you to it.
Bikini's one from the back, okay? Basically, this is a deficit RDL. Right now I have an Olympic barbell with 245 plates. I'm standing on an elevated plate right now. I'm going to wrap my wrist straps around each side. Then I'm going to conventionally deadlift the bar up. So I want to pull my shoulders back and lock out my lats. Squat back, sit deep, press up. From here, we're going to bend at the hips, hinge all the way, keeping the bar close to your body, hopping up with power.
That looked intense.
Felt good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it felt good.
So why do you get on an elevated platform?
So we have the elevated platform so that we can get a deeper range of motion and get a deeper stretch in the hamstrings.
And how many sets do you normally do?
I do 3 sets in total. My first set's always my heaviest, 10 reps. Second set, I'll drop it down a little bit of weight, 12 reps. Last set, 15 reps with a little bit lower weight.
It's hard to work out and talk, isn't it?
Yeah, a little winded.
Awesome, that was great.
But yeah, this is one of my favorite ones, especially with that deep stretch in the hamstring. Really does good. I was breathing pretty
And
hard.
that's the final photo that Ray took, Ray Saulon, Ray Saulon Photography. Thank you, Ray. Yeah, so glutes And tie-ins are so important in really all levels of bodybuilding, male and female. And it's also really difficult to really get some change. But I think, and I'm not looking Christian, but I think some of the stuff that I saw when you were on stage, some of your photos, you did increase your butt size.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So much that I went from being about 11 weeks out to about less than 4.
Wow.
Yeah, because my coach is just, she said that she expected this amount of growth with my genetics and my hard work, but in 4 to 6 months. But she was like, we did it in 3. And she's like, I want to put you on stage right now. And she's like, I want to push you. She's like, are you okay with me pushing you so that we can meet this conditioning? Because you're going to shock those judges and you're going to, she's just so excited. And she gets me so excited because she's the GOAT. Like, she's the GOAT coach here in this sport. And she's created such an amazing, big, loving community within this sport. And so her opinion, her voice, it matters so much to me. And I know she knows exactly what they want, what they're looking for. So the fact that she's this excited for me to show up, it's an incredible feeling. And I know that we've put in a lot of work in the glutes we're training glutes 3 times a week.
3 times.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
It takes everything out of you. Like, I'm a mom and I don't ever take naps until I hit glute day with my new trainer. Her name's Talia Marie Vaughn on Instagram. She's a world champion powerlifter. She's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And so she's the one who's been personally training me in person 3 times a week. And my physique has taken off insanely. So I'm very excited to show it on stage.
So other than that exercise, what, because I know a lot of women are like, I want that butt. What are some of the other key exercises you do for the bubble?
Okay. So every week we hit the same movements and we make sure we progress in those movements. So those movements are the deficit RDLs, hip thrust, squats, and
weighted squats?
Yes, we do back squats, but recently we transitioned to the Smith machine so we can put more load on the glutes, isolated more than hitting the quads. And then last is the barbell split squats. So we use those, and then we have some accessory movements like kickbacks and stuff like that. But the hip thrusts, all those are very heavy, they're loaded. We have a specific structure where we hit everything. As far as like what we're doing, the reps, the weight, everything remains the same. We always progress in the weight, but we have strength blocks where every 4 weeks we'll switch it up, but not the movements, not the protocols of it, but we'll switch up how we do it. So we might add a band, or we might do the tempo, or we might do a 2-second pause at the top, things like that. We'll definitely switch that up so that I can continue to get stronger in these movements. And it's worked. It's really worked.
And obviously off season or gain season, you're eating more.
Oh yeah.
And but were you on prep this week? Are you?
I've been on prep for about 3 weeks now. Yes.
So you're what, 8 weeks away from a show?
I would say 4.
4.
4 weeks.
So
as what we're trying to push conditioning to.
Okay.
We don't know if we're gonna make it, but I'm gonna try my best to make that show. If not, then we might be around 7 to 8. Yeah. So
what are you walking around at now, weight-wise?
Right now I'm at 118.
And is that where you live normally? Like if you're off season?
So before Jamie, I always thought that I couldn't gain weight as much as I do now. I always struggled gaining weight, and it was more of probably a mental side of not pushing heavier in the gym, more doing workouts and not picking up heavier weight. So it was more like
high rep.
Yes, exactly. So I wasn't able to build as much. So even with the extra food, because I used to eat a lot more than what I'm eating now, like a lot more, like probably 1,500 calories more. But the fact that I'm actually heavy weight. It took me a few weeks to adjust into it, and a lot of tears, because I didn't know if what I'm doing is going to be what the judges want, you know, because training your glutes with someone who is
strength coach.
Yeah, strength coach, who she really knows what she's doing, and she's incredible, and she pushes me so hard. And just by training with her, I realized, like, wow, this is not what I was doing before. This is intensely different, and I didn't realize the intenseness of working out and training this hard. And so that's where lots of tears came from, and I was just questioning, like, do I have to do this? Like, you know, 3 times a week, I don't think I can do this, you know? Lots of doubts because of how intense it was, and it would just put me out. There's times where I got home and I just slept for hours because my body was just so fatigued, but that's what it takes to build and
say it to that camera right there. Say, ladies.
Yes, you got to eat and you got to lift heavy. Lift heavy, eat your food, eat your macros, make sure you're, keeping everything and recording your weights and being consistent. It's all about consistency, and with having the exact same movements and being consistent with those movements and in progressing with those movements. Then you can take that and add in more accessory movements and do things like that. But definitely gotta eat. Gotta eat. Yes. So my max was always 115. I'd never been able to go past 115.
At what, squat?
At my body weight.
Oh, wait, okay.
Body weight. And then until, but before my new coach, I'd never been under a barbell. Not once. I've never back squatted, never did any compound movements really, just hip thrusts and, but yeah, I learned how to deadlift. Oh, I'm deadlifting too. So I'm deadlifting, I'm RDLing, I'm doing all those important movements that I was not doing before. So, it's now I'm at 121 in my off season, and now we're cutting obviously now. So we're at about 118, 119, a little bit fluctuating between there, but we just hiked up protocols to be more intense this past week. So I'm barely on like day 4 of, higher cardio, less macros, and we're really pushing. We cut all artificial sweeteners, all processed foods. We're eating very clean to dial into conditioning, and just making sure sleep and recovery is on point too.
And that's amazing. Sleep, people. Sleep. Got to get your sleep.
Sleep.
Artificial sweeteners, what does your coaches tell you about those, and what do they do to your body?
They're okay. They're totally fine. They're not frowned upon or anything, as far as in the bodybuilding world, because it keeps you sane. As far as like, some Crystal Light in your water, it'll help you hit your water if you struggle drinking water a day, so they're not frowned upon. It's good to keep those in, but in moderation, of course. Not with every single meal, just when you need it, when you absolutely need it. So that you got to be mindful of that.
But you cut them now.
I cut them.
Why do they cut?
I cut them so I can meet my conditioning in time, because we've changed. We're gonna do a 10-week prep, which is normal. 10 to 16 weeks is about normal for girls to get lean, because if you try to do an hour of cardio a day and cut your macros and try to step on stage in a few weeks, you're actually gonna lose more muscle than you would if you took a slower prep and kind of eased into it. So that's why I did cut artificials, so that I can just be more on point and meet that conditioning. Because when you intake artificials, it's like toxins. It's like when you drink alcohol, or when you have McDonald's, like your body reacts to those toxins, those bad ingredients they have in it. So it can bloat you, it can cause water retention, weight fluctuations, which you don't want to mess with, So normally I would cut them 2 weeks out before my show, just to make sure that I don't have any variables missed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're back in Kilo, and she's going to show us some of her upper body. So, Aimee, we're going to do some upper body over here, huh?
Yes, we are. Here I have an incline dumbbell chest press that I'm going to show you guys. Awesome. This here is going to target the chest for the main muscle, but it's also going to really help you tie in where the chest meets the front delt. So we're going to have an incline bench, dumbbells. You're gonna want flat feet on the ground. As you sit back, you want to bring the dumbbells up here to your chest. Press your shoulders into the bench. Straight arms, come down to your chest. push it back up.
I love that exercise, but a lot of women don't do presses.
No.
But you say why they should.
So, as a bikini competitor, we hit our front pose, and they really want rounded, nice, full shoulder caps. So whenever we hit the front pose, if we're not working out our chest, then you can get like a big. It's like someone took an ice cream scoop and just scooped out your front delt. So that's where you get that nice tie-in muscle coming in from the chest, meeting the front delt to make it nice and full and round.
Okay, I like it. I learned something today.
Yeah, and it also targets a lot of your shoulders. So lots of people think that it doesn't, but it really targets the front delts too,
especially
the chest.
When you're on the incline.
Yep.
Yep. Awesome. And there's the picture that Ray took right after we did that. I love the color there. You brought the red in, Ray. So couple things. Let's first talk about women and chest presses, and a lot of them in the bikini bodybuilding world are enhanced, and they don't do it because of that.
You're talking about boobs?
Yes.
Okay.
And so are you enhanced?
Yes.
So, it's usually the doctor that says don't do it or do it or whatever. And so some of the issues around that?
Some of it, yes, because every doctor does their practice differently. Some do over the muscle, some do under the muscle. Right. So that's the big difference between the two. So I have mine under the muscle, which I prefer better just because of the overall aesthetic look. Mm-hmm. When you reach a very, very low body fat percentage, it's under the muscle, so it still looks very natural. If you have an implant over the muscle, the skin really sticks to that implant, and you can see like some ripples or that type of stuff. But when it comes to chest stuff, you really can't go super heavy if you have it over the muscle. From what I've experienced with, as far as other feedback from other competitors, what their doctors have told them. But I don't have any specific feedback for, my personal experience as far as what my doctor recommends. But they said that I'm fine because I was cheering, still doing college pop-ins here and there, just stunting and tumbling back then when I got my my augmentation. So I wasn't restricted in any flipping movements or anything like that. I just know that you just have to be careful depending on where it's placed, either above or under the muscle.
Got it. And then my other question is, you mentioned natural athlete and the current environment being a pro and the other enhancements. And it's kind of getting where with the men's divisions, it's especially the heavyweights, it's like, if you're not on the gear, you're not on stage, you're not winning.
That's true.
How do you feel about it entering bikini body? Because I don't think it started maybe 5 years ago, I think, or more. Yeah. And then now it's really prevalent.
Yes.
What do you feel about that?
Of course, being a man, you have to, because the level of the caliber of talent of what they show up with, especially at the Olympia. So the two most prestigious stages are the Olympia and the Arnold's. So whoever wins the Olympia or the Arnold's, they're usually the face of what the judges are looking for with their body structure and type. So if the guy that wins Mr. Olympia, if he's so huge, if you want to beat him and be successful, you got to be just as big or bigger. Yeah. So, and if he's taking, a bunch of gear, which, most of them, they have to, and they are, then that means that's just something that you got to have a chat with yourself and see if that's something you want to do. Right. When it comes to the bikini division, you don't have to at all, because the requirement of muscle is restricted versus the bodybuilding for men is like who can get the biggest, who can get the widest, and all that stuff. So that's just, there's no cap on that, you know. On the Division 212, there's a weight cap where you have to stay in that weight cap, but genetics play a huge role in that. You know, you can get really big if you're genetically gifted in certain areas. But with bikini, I turned pro natural. You can turn pro natural. You do not have to run on anything. Of course, genetics always play a role in every single person. But no, the requirement of muscle is a lot less, and we can't get too big. Like,
well, there's other types of gear too. There's, you know,
like fat burning,
ripping gear. You know?
Yeah, there is.
Anavar and
I don't know much about the fat burning stuff. From what I've heard, it's just taxing on the heart because the fat burning, and in order to get the fat burning process to correlate with your body, you gotta get your heart rate up,
right?
You know, so I heard that's really taxing on your heart and stuff. So I don't mess with any of that stuff. I don't. But personally, I don't have any issues getting lean. But when I reach a level of leanness, my body does not like to get any leaner than that. But we just, you know, just gotta try new things to see what my body likes and what works for me. But yeah, you don't have to run. You don't have to do all these things. But some girls, it's necessary because of their genetics. So some girls say they've been training for 2 years and they've been consistent and they've been in the gym, they're lifting and they are eating, but their glutes aren't growing. And that's just genetically, their genetics are just fighting them.
Right.
You know, they're against them. So
white girl booty.
Yeah. Right. So you just gotta, you get what you get, and then you gotta work around it based on how you feel about the sport. If you want to make it a career, if you want to, you know, become someone in the sport, then that might be necessary. But, you know, it wasn't always necessary for me.
So you're natty and you're going to stay natty.
We haven't officially decided on everything yet, only because I have really good genetics and I'm new at the sport. So I started lifting, like actually lifting in the gym for the first time in 2020. And that was the year I won my pro card.
So you have a long way to go.
Yeah, so I have that newbie gain still. Yeah. So where you get someone who's been lifting for 5-6 years and you put me in the same program, I will grow a lot more than what they will grow because I am new. I haven't reached that maturity of the muscle yet. Yeah. So that's one thing. Another thing, my training was not correct the past year. And, you know, I turned pro with the help of my genetics, my hard work, and my determination and my consistency. But at the pro level, you really gotta have that 3D glute look, you know? So that was whenever I was like, I need to do more now. I need to focus on other aspects of my my everyday life as far as, you know, what can help me bring me better to the stage. And it was my training was the biggest thing. I wasn't training right. I wasn't under certain movements. Like when I stepped on stage as a pro, I had smaller glutes than when I won my pro card because I wasn't training properly. Yeah. But my shape, my posing, the way I grace the stage, that's why I made first call outs, you know, consistently on the pro stage and made top 10 consistently. So now we're just focusing on the parts that I wasn't focusing on, and we're building that. And with my genetics, with my hard work and everything, and my coach's knowledge, and with my new strength coach, we're bringing a whole new Aimee to the stage. And I hope the judges are ready.
So part of the bikini, and actually most of the female divisions, is glamour, and we have the opportunity to bring in a fitness photographer, and he's here today. Let's bring Ray in and let's talk about glamour and posing as a model, a fitness model, opposed to posing as a bikini competitor. There's a big difference. Come on in, Ray.
Yeah.
Ray is in the house.
Thank you for having me.
Hey.
How are you, Kim?
Good.
So, Ray, when we were in Kilo Club, you basically gave all of us a quick lesson about pull that. Yeah.
Good.
You gave us all a lesson about posing and how models sometimes had no ability or idea how to pose their body, and you had to help them a lot. And then some models that have experience, they can pop a pose and be perfect, catching the right parts of their body and hiding the right parts of their body just with a pose. How did Aimee do? This is really one of her first. Was it your first?
It was like my third shoot, ever. Third shoot. And my first shoots were with like my best friend. I had her there, and it was just more comfortable as far as like my first time.
Right.
But he did great. He did great at making me feel good and making me feel confident and stuff.
I've never seen anybody do so much in a shoot. Because when I look back at what was going on, like what we put on her plate, so there were several things going on there. She was doing the podcasting, the workouts,
right,
the photo shoot. She was actually working out, and then she had to pose. That's a lot.
Right.
It's enough to worry. I mean, you've done shoots where you were just shooting. If you're just doing a photo shoot,
oh yeah,
she was dealing with multiple tasks.
right.
And at one point, I'm like, wow, I wonder if she's getting overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed just watching her. I was like, wow, there's a lot going on.
Right.
And then between me and that, me, Christian, and George, we doing behind the scenes.
Right.
There was a lot of movement. You know, but she pulled it off. You know, and obviously, as a posing coach, it's very hard for her to look bad in front of a camera. She knows how to stand naturally.
Right.
If there's a bad picture, that's 100% on me. Either I angled the camera wrong, or I got the lighting wrong, or I flattened her out because the lighting was hitting her on.
Right.
But I mean, it was a fun time. It was a unique shoot. I've never shot like that before.
Right.
But it's probably one of the most incredible clubs I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You know, the lighting's unbelievable. But that type of a shooting situation, like, it will challenge you because you're trying to satisfy what you're used to shooting, which typically I shoot a blacked out background where the subject is primarily focused. And because of the lighting, we wanted to get more of the background in, you know, and now there's a lot of these humongous mirrors where I had to get the lights out of the mirror.
Right.
And then she had clothes that were kind of dark that would get lost in the background. And I've never shot her before, so I'm not sure what angles her body's gonna look good at.
Right.
I mean, it was a lot. I'm surprised we all pulled it off. All of us is within 2 hours too.
Yeah.
Like within 2 hours.
Guerrilla style.
Yeah.
So, the confidence you have on stage is one thing. The confidence you have probably in the gym now that you're training with a strength coach and the experience you've had. The next level of being on video, talking while you're working out for a podcast and photo shoot where he's wanting you to be sexy. There's a lot there.
It was a lot.
But you want to do more. You actually have to do more of that to really build your brand.
Yep.
Are you excited about that? Nervous or what?
I'm very nervous. Like, I remember whenever I turned pro, they always interview the overall winner. And that year, it was COVID, and they had the Olympia like a week after. So the JM had to fly out to the Olympia, and that only flight available was the next morning, and that's usually whenever they do it and everything. So they passed on the interview and everything, and I was like, thank you. But then part of me now, when I look back, I'm like, I should have taken, like, you know, I should have been wanting to do that opportunity instead of being scared and running away, because I'm going to have to, if I want to be who I want to be, I got to face these challenges and show up and you know, speak my voice. So yeah, it was hard, but I'm going to keep showing up, and I'll just get better as I go.
Yeah. Ray, what is your experience with someone like Aimee and what she brought to the table, having really being a novice at shooting? Did you find that her posing skills translated into what you were doing or needed?
You would not know that she's a novice. Like the fact when you told me that, even I didn't know that you were a novice. Like, I've seen she's shot with some really, really good photographers in the field. I know because I follow them. but you're not a novice. She's not a novice. Like if you look at her IG, that's not a novice. You know, by nature, because of what she does for a living, the girls that I shoot hire somebody like that to make them look good. So for her to really not look good, that's the photographer's fault. Like if there's a bad picture, that's not your fault. That's 100% on the photographer.
Right.
But even then, like you could get the person who knows how to angle their body perfectly. If your camera's not in the right position, if you're shooting too low or shoot too high, you make them look short. Too low, you're making them too tall. The light's hitting them head on, you flatten out all their cuts.
Right.
You know, and
Angles.
now, like the one shot that I had difficulty with was the one against the wall, which I loved how she came out. I did not like the lighting because I'm trying to get the lighting of the wall right. I'm trying to get her lit properly. And then there's another light coming in from the background. Like the thing about fitness photography, a lot of it is how you're throwing the lights. And I only really use 2 lights. There's times I go up to 5, you know, and when there's a time constraint and I don't have my assistant with me, you know, I had Christian, thank God, and George's helping out whenever I can. But if I don't have somebody who's really supposed to be there to help me with the lights, I have to stop, put down my camera, move light number 1, light number 2, light number 3, pop the shot, and oh my God, light number 3 is too close. Let me pull that away. Like, I mean, it's kind of a lot.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times, like you will take it personally because if the model says, oh, I don't like the way I looked in that shot, that's not her fault. That's my fault. You know, and as a photographer, you kind of have to own that.
Right.
You know, so it's just one of those weird things. But shooting her was easy.
Thank you.
It was easy.
So you need to really do a shoot together.
I'll shoot her again whenever she wants. You know?
Maybe
Yeah.
after the show or
Oh,
right?
no, I would do it like either when I'm lean and cut, shredded.
Yeah. Be
Be
that's
careful
when
what
you
you
want.
ask for. I'll tell you what, I have shot girls 2 days out before a contest. I have a 45-minute window before you pass out. It's hard. I mean, they're
That's
depleted.
true.
I tell women, don't when they come to me, I want to shoot right before the con. I'm like, no, the day after. You're already carb loaded. Your body looks a little bit more
Oh,
full.
yeah.
But the problem is, I was also reading her doing what we were doing. Like, you have to pay attention to the model because you could tell by her face she's getting a little bit tired. She's getting shot. So if you thought about what we were doing with her that day, she was actually working out. So she's breathing heavy. All right, she's not just posing. So now we have to stop her. Now she has to do interviews. She's still breathing heavy. So the reason why I was taking my time moving the lights around was to give her time to kind of decompress from that. You know, but even then what happens is, I don't care, like she's lean, but when you're working out, you're not naturally holding in your abs. You're breathing.
You're
in and
bracing,
out.
yeah.
You're bracing.
Right.
You know, and sometimes with the wrong angle, if I catch you when you're exhaling, your abs are pushed out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and then when you're working out and talking, and then we made her do a little posing session too.
Right,
So
right, right.
It was so much fun. But
Right.
and then by the end of the night, the wall picture, like I'm reading her, I'm like, all right, I got to get her out of here because now she's getting tired. She's
Right.
got kids. She's got to get home. It's 10:30.
Yeah.
You know, but she pulled it off. Like
Yeah.
I'm not knocking the other girls that I shoot because they're all beasts by nature. They all have multiple jobs, but I know probably a handful of them that probably would not have been able to pull that off.
Nice.
Like that was hard what you did.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
That's
really hard.
encouraging.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's hard.
Well,
You know, so
that was a great transition. Very organic, Ray. Let's see what this is the special part of the first time at the Kilo Club. Let's take a look at that. So excited about this segment. You're my first bikini bodybuilder in heels at Kilo Club.
Yay!
I love
Yes.
this. You're gonna show us some cool things about posing.
Yes, yes. I'll show you guys my 3 tips that I think is most important that every bikini competitor should know.
I'll leave you to it.
We're gonna talk about the front pose and the back pose. So in the front pose, it's all about, bikini's all about balance, structure, and making your body look symmetrical. So whenever you hit the front pose, you always wanna stand your full body weight on one leg at all times. If we put weight in our popped foot, then we're gonna be off balance and be leaning over. So really need to stand tall, don't push in the glutes too much, stand tall, and we want the arms to be straight, chest to be forward, and shoulders and arm visible to be seen. From here, you will step back and go into our model pose to transition around to our next topic, which is the back pose. So in the back pose, again, about balance, structure, and making sure that the judges can see nice, rounded, full shoulders, tiny waist, and full glutes. And how we're gonna do that is we're going to arch our lower back, bend your knees slightly to relieve pressure for the tie-ins that meet the glutes. Then we're going to pull your delts back, keep your chest up nice and high while keeping a good arch. We'd never want to bend over and lean forward to show that those glute tie-ins, because it really flattens out the top round of your glutes, and we don't want that. And also, if we lean too forward, we miss the shoulders at the judge's angle, because judges do stand lower, have a lower point of view for the back pose. So here, and then you will transition around. And the side pose, whenever you go to the side pose, a lot of my competitors like to turn and hit the side here, and we want to make sure we're turning enough so that we show the glute, hide the midsection. If we stand here like this, see how we can see some rib flaring and we don't really get much glute? We want to make sure that when you hit your side pose, you want to turn enough to show this full front glute, hide your midsection, and pop your chest so that we can see that pop of color in your suit.
Now, you were saying before that confidence comes from what?
From knowledge is power. So if you know what you're doing, and if you're questioning what you're doing, that's when you can really feel like, am I doing this right? Do I know if I'm doing this right? Does it look good on me? Does it look my best? So really getting a posing coach can take out all of those questions for you and really give you that confidence that you know that you're posing right.
Nice. That was
Hey,
great.
that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how George cuts in those real shots of you on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you, again, I think have the unique ability to own the stage and your confidence, and it's all, I think, lining up for you. But before we end this podcast, I want you to talk more about your posing business and how people will get in touch with you. And is it group classes? It's on one-on-one? What is all that about?
Okay. So I'm the owner of Top Level Posing. So you'll find me on Top Level Posing on IG. My website is www.fitnessbyames.com, and I have a link there where you can book and secure some sessions. But I feel like I'm different than most posing coaches, because I don't just do a session with the client and then say goodbye, you're on your own, or do like a check-in. I give each client a full month of posing help. So it's like a posing package. They get, depending on the package they select, they'll get either 1, 2, or 6 sessions. And it's all monthly. So they'll get check-ins, they'll get homework, they'll get 24/7 access to posing help with me. So it's not an actual like check-in, but say that a client is struggling on her back pose, and I'm not going to have her wait 5 days until her next check-in. So I'll have her send me a short clip and let me know what's going on. And then I'll always reply back with text with a video of me demonstrating what she's doing wrong and how she can fix it. So during our sessions, I will screen record what you currently have with your routine. Then whenever we adjust poses or change transitions, I'll go back to that video and I will screenshot what her front pose was before, and then we'll put it side by side, and I always show them and explain, okay, this is what we changed, this is different, this is your new front pose, and this is what we're looking for. Because I learn visually, and if it's helped so much with my clients. So at the end of each session, they have a handful of photos of each pose on how it's supposed to be positioned. I teach my girls specific steps. So instead of just saying turn around, like I have them, they know which way their toes are supposed to be pointed. They know their body weight is where it's supposed to be distributed in their hips, their glutes, and their feet. They know which way their chest is pointing, where their hand is placed on their hip. Like they have, every athlete has their own specific details, and I make sure that they know every detail so that when they go to practice, they hit those details and they know, okay, my foot needs to be angled to the right, and then my hip should be fully forced turned to the side, and I should feel tension in my lower back. And then if I'm doing all those, then we're getting the correct look. So a lot of times I'll have girls out say, like, oh, I had a posing coach and she just told me, oh yeah, that's the pose we want, and I need you to stop at that moment. Like she'll turn around and then she'll say stop, and then they hit that pose and she's like, this is what we want. She'll screenshot it, and that's all the girl gets.
Right.
So whenever she's on her own, she's like,
she doesn't get those muscle cues.
No, doesn't get the
all that.
cues,
Yeah.
and it's always different. It's always different than what that picture was, and then they get confused, and that's where, so I do and I took this from cheerleading. I do like a 2-step count because the routines are a lot shorter than 8 counts for cheer. So I do a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So they hit their front pose, that's their 1. They open to the front pose, that's their 2. And I'll have them know exactly which, their arms, shoulders, chest, everything's placed in that 1, and they know where their hands and everything goes in the 2. So they'll practice that 1, 2 over and over and over again, and they will not move on until they got that first 1, 2. Then they'll go to the next 1, 2, and they have exact instructions for that 1, 2. And that's how they get their bodies to move correctly and position their hips and everything. And then once they've got that down, we connect it, and it just, they get it.
And do you also do the face? Do you do when they're supposed to smile? When they're that's part of it?
Yeah, at the end. So first we'll do mandatory poses, then we'll go into transitions, and then we'll go into stage presence details. So you can't focus on the arm movements and the face when you don't have down the feet, where the feet go, where the body's supposed to be positioned, and your weight distribution, because it's a lot. You're sitting back in your glutes, your hips are turned, your chest is up, and your body's doing different things.
Right.
And it's hard to remember all at once.
And they're not natural.
No, you have to make it look natural, which is the hardest part. So, knowing everything is key. And when I have them, once we get finished with the routine, we start working on stage stuff. We'll do call-out presentations. We'll do the do's and don'ts of the stage. When she walks on stage, what should she be doing while waiting for the other girl to get off? As she's walking to the center, she shouldn't be looking down with her face, only her eyes to guide her. And then at the judges. So we'll work on little details with that, but that comes after the presentation of showing your physique off, because that's what's most important. And then we'll go into the stage presence, because that's easy. Knowing how to just flip in the hair, adding a wink or a shoulder tilt to your routine, that's easy to do at the end. So it's not so hard as actually creating the routine.
Right, building that foundation.
Yeah.
And Ray, that I can just, while I'm hearing it,
I can't even find it, but she lost me a long time.
But it translates to what models do. They're not posing naturally.
To elaborate on her, so I shoot other women who are not in the industry. Anybody wants a photo shoot, Instagram, whatever. So a lot of times if they're a novice at posing, which she's clearly not, if I'm short of a photograph or an idea, I'll take a picture of one of the girls that I shot, and I'm like, here, do that. And they'll look at it, and they'll try. It's not even close. It's right. That's when you realize how many subtle nuances there are. Like, I goof around with some of the girls that I shoot who are not in bikini, where, I'll try to, I'm like, all right, I need you to do this, and I'll do it. I'm like, well, I'm not doing it right.
Right.
It's like she just described, there's a subtlety where she said if you lean too forward, you don't want the time because it flans your back. I would have never known that.
Right.
I would have just told the girl, lean forward, let's get a shot of your glutes, not knowing that totally flans out your back.
Right.
But even the foot positioning is so subtle. I shot a girl the other day who's my daughter for her graduation, and I'm so caught up with this natural light and the gown and the cap, and I didn't notice that her feet looked like they were broken in the shot.
Right.
So now I got to shoot that shot again because it's kind of a shot that she really wants to get. I'm like, wow, I wasn't paying attention to her feet.
Right.
What she does is she makes sure that these women every aspect, down to your hands, your feet, your toes are pointing. There's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much involved.
Yeah.
You know, so it's incredible. You know.
Yeah. So I think once you get your reps in fitness photography, I think it's gonna probably accelerate just like your posing did, and I think it's gonna be a really nice marriage.
Oh yeah. I definitely have to spend some time on the photography posing part of it because I haven't done that yet, and I feel like that'll help me like just kind of be in my bathroom and just hit different poses and just never stop moving. I feel like that's the key, is like when you're posing for a photographer, you just want to keep moving consistently and moving your head, moving your arms, moving your hips. That way, whenever like you find that shot, because you'll see where it looks good and you'll take it at that moment.
Well, I'll tell you a secret. Evelyn Eve, who was here on your show.
I think you know Eve too, right?
Yeah,
Eve is
yeah,
awesome. Eve is
yeah.
awesome. I'm probably going to be shooting her again, and she hit me up 2 months ago. She did something I've never seen anybody do. So when her man came along, again, I love when the boyfriends come along, because when a girl says, "Can my boyfriend come?" the only thing I hear is assistant. I got a free assistant.
Right.
So he came with a mirror, like a full-length mirror.
Oh, that's smart.
And
Smart.
basically what he did was he stood beside me and he angled the mirror, and Evelyn would be like, "No, point the mirror more towards me. I can't see what my body's doing." She made it that much easier because now I just had to point and click and get the lighting right.
Christian.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna
You
do
gotta
next.
get a mirror.
So the next time we shoot, like bring a mirror, she'll put it next to her, and you'll pay attention to me. So now I can pay attention to the lighting, and you might actually find some shots that I don't see, because a lot of times as a photographer, you don't want to have the same pose throughout your IG,
Right.
because then other photographers be like, "Oh, this guy's got 5 signature poses." Like, you don't want to be that guy,
Right.
you know. So a lot of times the models will find a pose that you never thought of before.
And we know what we look good. We know what we look
That's exactly.
best.
And you know, a lot of photographers who are open-minded. I'm not one of these arrogant photographers. Nope, that's not my look. I need this. No, if you can find something that's better than what I can do, let's do it. You know, it gives me another shot to show on my platforms and
I
whatnot.
love it. I love it. So, Ames, anything else that you want to talk about or promote? Do you have any sponsors at this point or anything?
Yeah, I am sponsored with Toxic Angels, the best bikini suit making on the market right now as far as for bodybuilding. They're the best. I remember last year I got offered a different suit sponsor, and I was considering it because, you know, having a suit sponsor is so incredible. But
they're
my
not
heart,
cheap.
No, they are not cheap. But my heart was set on Toxic, and I was like, I know I'll be there someday. I'm just gonna say no, and I'm just gonna hope and pray that they hopefully, you know, want to sponsor me someday.
Right.
And I just and then when I was doing my pro journey, that's when they actually you know, messaged me and asked me to be a sponsor. So it all worked out, and it was just great. And I'm thankful for them. So yeah, they definitely helped out my last suit. I just got a new suit, so that's coming on the way right now. So Toxic Angels, you can use my link in my bio on Instagram. And then Fit Body Fusion, also, I have a link there too. You can sign up and talk to any coach. We have so many incredible coaches that are, oh my God, and so great in this industry. So you can talk to one of them as well. But those two is what my main sponsors are.
Okay. No supplement company yet?
I was with Legion, but I'm making a switch. I'm making a switch to FNX.
Okay.
So we just signed a contract, but we're filling it out. I'm testing out the supplements right now. So I'm in that process right now. So and once I get that feedback, I'll announce to you guys on my Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy mom and your posing business and your prep. So thank you for your time. This was great. You were great.
Thanks for having me.
Ray, thank you for the shoot and to come on Saturday here. Fit Fam, I hope you watch through the end. There's a lot here, especially you bikini bodybuilders or even any level of bodybuilding. If you need posing help, you know where to find her. So until next time, Fit Fam, I'm out.